Welcome to another episode of the MuscleTV podcast brought to you by Maxis. I am your host, Scott Goble, joined once again by my co-host and good friend, Mr. Luke Schembri. How are you, Luke?
Scotty, how you going, mate?
I am very well, and I am very excited to be joined by our guest today. He is one of Australia's strongest ever men. He is one of the biggest and heaviest bodybuilders that takes the stage within Australia. And we're here to get to know him a little bit better. Welcome to the show, big, and I mean big, Dylan Hellriegel.
Hey, how you going?
Very well, thanks, Dylan. Mate, thank you for coming on the show.
No worries at all.
Just so the listeners have a little bit of perspective on how large you are, mate, how tall are you and what did you weigh in at the recent WA show where you took out was it the heavyweights or super heavyweights? I hope it was super heavyweights.
The super heavyweights, yeah.
Yeah, good.
I'm just over 6'6", and I weighed in at 125 on the dot that morning.
Unbelievable, mate. And what was the heaviest? What's the heaviest you've ever been?
A lot heavier than that. During the powerlifting days, I got up to 180.
Ooh,
Wow.
Okay.
And that's rough.
Those are some pretty crazy numbers, mate. So look, you did. I would say you've come from a powerlifting background, but your first foray into competitive strength sports or the fitness industry, you did say you did a bodybuilding show. How long ago? 10, 11 years ago or something?
Yeah, about that. I did a team show back in 2015, I think it was, and then another juniors in 2016, and then took up powerlifting since then.
How'd you go on those initial shows, mate? As a 6'6" guy, takes a little bit to fill out a frame. It's tough as a junior.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have done it, to be honest. I didn't think I deserved to be there. But I came third in one, second in the other, out of 2 and 3. So, I mean, what did that say?
Mate, don't worry. I once took home a super heavyweight Victoria title unopposed. We don't mention how many were in the show. I won the show. All right, that's all that matters.
That's it.
And Dylan, your transition into powerlifting was a very, very successful one. You have put up some of the biggest numbers in the history of Australia. You were probably tracking along to be the best powerlifter within Australia, one of the best powerlifters within the world. Could you tell us a little bit about how long it took to build up to that level?
Well, straight after the comps in 2016 and the bodybuilding, I got straight into powerlifting. And then my first powerlifting meet was in 2017, early 2017. So only about 6 or 7 months since being on stage. And yeah, did okay there. My first total was 800 kilos with a 275 squat, 200 bench, and a 320 deadlift. And then within a year, I got that total up to 980 with a 355 squat, a 230 bench, and a 400 deadlift. And then a year from that, I went to a 455 squat, a 240 bench, and a 410 deadlift, which are my best numbers, which at the time was 7th or 8th in the world, and I believe it's still 12th in the world now.
Mate, that is incredible. That is unbelievable. So just going back from there, when did you actually start lifting weights?
Geez, how old am I now? 30 now. I think I started when I was 18. So I probably got a membership when I was 18 years old.
And so how long after are we talking some of these lifts? After that?
I hit my biggest lifts on the platform when I was 23. So about 5 years.
Wow, mate, that is absolutely incredible. So then I guess before you started lifting weights, what's the sporting background? Did you know that you've obviously got a lot of fast twitch muscle fibers to be able to do some of that work?
I didn't really know that I'd be any good at sort of anything strength-wise or physique-wise. All I did was I played cricket and footy at some decent level, so I wasn't completely handicapped when it comes to sport, but that was about it.
Mate, would never have thought someone playing cricket would end up going on to some of those ridiculous totals. They're absolutely amazing. How did you find the transition from those sports into powerlifting? Like, was it just pick up the weights and you were just strong and just loving it?
Basically, yeah. I mean, the whole goal from being in the gym was to be a bodybuilder. I mean, who doesn't really want to be a bodybuilder when they get in the gym and start putting on muscle? And then I think one of my coaches at the time was like, you know what, to get big, you got to get strong. And then whilst I was in the process of trying to add more weight to the bar every week, some random guy at the gym was like, "Oh, you're pretty strong. Why don't you take up powerlifting?" I was like, "All right, whatever." And then rest is history.
Mate, considering your trajectory within the powerlifting field, because you were adding weight to those totals incredibly fast, what made you decide to transition out of it and move to bodybuilding? I mean, you sort of allude to the fact it was maybe your original passion, but you had the potential at 23 years of age with those totals to be perhaps the best powerlifter in the world. That sounds pretty appealing to me, but you've taken things in a different direction.
Yeah, look, it was pretty cool at the time, but the little injuries started creeping up. Nothing bad to go, oh crap, I have to throw in the towel now. But as well, it was right around when COVID happened and everything was shut down. Couldn't train, couldn't compete, nothing. It was all completely shut down for a good 18 months, 2 years, and it kind of put a big spanner in the works to that momentum I had. As well as having my own personal illnesses to deal with, which was completely random and still deal with today. But yeah, getting back from powerlifting, which was, I loved it, but very time consuming. And yeah, with the risk of injury, one bad day could put a big thing in the works for years to come. So I thought it was best to go out with the numbers I had and be happy with that and get into something else that I enjoy a little bit more.
And with those incredible numbers, obviously, and I mean, yeah, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling to fathom what it's like walking out a 455 kilo squat. To be completely honest with you, mate, I never squatted more than 260 in my life, and people used to talk about me being strong and having big legs. I actually cannot even wrap my head around it because there's strength and then there's like superhuman, like natural gifted ability there. Uh, it seems unfathomable that you didn't understand or didn't realize that you had this within you. Like Luke was saying before, were there signs? Like, were there, like, on the footy field when you went for a mark or something like that? If you shoved someone in the back, did they just go flying? Like, what was going on?
Not really, no. I think it was a pure accident that I was good at powerlifting and good at those strength sports because yeah, no indication that it was going anywhere with it until it happened, I suppose.
And mate, you mentioned getting a little bit sick. I was following you back then. I had immense admiration for your progression within the strength sports, and I was expecting you to just be the best in the world. So I was following you, and I know you did get quite sick there, and that impacted your ability to eat and gain weight. What exactly was going on? If you don't mind shedding a little bit of information on it.
Well, we never really got a proper diagnosis from it, which is the most frustrating part. Because obviously, if something's wrong and you find out what it is, you can do something about it. But for a solid 12 months, just had no idea what was going on. Every time I ate food, I'd be sick. And the best way I could describe it was having gastro the entire time. That anything that went in, no matter how healthy or perfect or bland or whatever it may have been, it was just not working for me. Mix that in with, COVID happening as well and things being shut down. It all compiled and it's made things a whole lot worse. And then, after about 12 months, I finally came across a specialist that gave me some medication that could have helped and that kind of pushed things along a little bit. But that was back in 2025 and still have the slight issues with it, but it's, much more manageable and I can eat food and, lift weight again and get up on stage.
So, mate, I'm guessing the road to 180 kilos, it wasn't affecting you too much with what you're talking about. Did this happen after? But mate, how the hell do you get to 180 kilos? What was your daily calorie intake to get there?
Honestly, never really tracked my calories all that well, which probably could have alluded to some of these issues that I had. But yeah, I wasn't the smartest approach, but looking back on it and going over the rough, plans I did have in place, I wouldn't have been eating more than 5,500 calories per day to get up to that weight.
Really, that's very surprising, mate. I would have thought it would have been a lot more.
Yeah, well, obviously given my height as well, and you see all these other strongmen having 10, 12,000 calorie days, I still can't fathom it myself.
Mate, we had Big Alex Simon on the podcast, and I think he was hitting around those 10,000 calorie days to reach
Yeah.
his peak body weight. But one thing Alex went into, and it was quite surprising, I guess, the duration of the warm-up before a powerlifting meet. Just for some of our listeners at home, can you just take us through, before you do some of those massive lifts at a meet, what's the warm-up protocol specifically on that day? How long are you doing it for?
Well, actually, on the day, it's not as extreme as it would be on like a training session, just because you've deloaded into the day and it's all like everything's relaxed. But usually, say if I'm warming up to a 400 kilo squat, it's going to take me about 2 or 3 hours just to get up to that weight first. So you've got all your stretching, all your mobility work, and then there's getting under the bar and feeling out like each plate that you put on, and you're putting on 8, 9, 10 plates aside. So you've got about 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes between those sets. Then there's more stretching, and then there's hydration, and then there's eating, and there's just a lot that goes into it to just get yourself primed for this one movement. So it's not like you're, having to get yourself ready to go for a run around the block or sprints or whatever. It's just a lot of time to make sure that the body is perfect for that one lift.
And mate, if you're spending 2 hours to work up to that, biggest squat of the day, is there much additional accessory work in there? Or are you also throwing in other movements just to support that, whether it be a hinge, a curl? I'm not sure. Well, what else goes into a powerlifting session, and how long is the total workout?
So it's in a 10-week prep where the doubles and singles are the priority, where you're really peaking the physique peaking the body to lift maximum weight. You obviously need all that time to work up to that big number, 1 or 2 sets of maximal weight, and then you got to strip it all off, and then you got to go to your accessories which support all of that. So like for a squat, you obviously got your leg press, and then like a good morning, and then a lunge, and then some extensions. But you still got to try and build the muscle and recover the muscle rather than just doing a squat. And yeah, that can take up to the whole session could take 3.5, 4 hours, and it's very, very time consuming. And then you've got your bench later in the week, and then you've got your deadlift later in the week, and then you've got another session on top of that. So you're spending a good 20 hours in the gym just for a very simple movement.
So was that the basic split? Squat day with accessories, bench day with accessories, deadlift day, and then what's day number 4? Do you repeat maybe a weaker lift, or is there additional accessories, mobility work? How do you break it down?
It can really depend on what the lifter requires. So a lighter weight lifter can get away with doing a little bit more volume in these movements, so they could probably do another bench or another squat day just to really recoup a little bit more from the week. But someone like myself, being the super heavyweight, lifting maximal weight that day would be completely different to what I've been doing during the week. So something like an overhead press or some arm work or a lot of mobility work as well.
And were you one of those powerlifters that would, defy their coach's orders and sneak in a little bit of additional bodybuilding work just because they wanted to look awesome?
In the beginning, absolutely, but towards the end, especially in a 10-week prep, you're like, I'm doing my squats and I'm leaving.
Fair enough, mate. And when you did transition into more of a bodybuilding split, what's the, I guess, actually, the foundation of powerlifting itself, obviously, I look at powerlifters that transition to bodybuilding. You've generally got crazy erectors, great traps. The leg development's hit or miss. Like, I've known some incredible squatters to have just, big glutes, in crazy erectors and average quads. Clearly not the case for you. But coming out of the powerlifting, what were the strengths and weaknesses, and what did you need to address transitioning into bodybuilding?
Well, obviously my legs didn't really need a whole lot of work, but bringing up my back and my arms and basically my upper body was the main goal from that. But they just peppered it with volume and actually dialed back on my leg training quite a fair bit.
And mate, the change in training from extreme mechanical tension to bodybuilding, more metabolic stress, pump in the gym, endurance, which style of training do you prefer?
Mate, I've loved them both, obviously. But at the moment, bodybuilding just has a nicer appeal to me. Not so much just for in the gym, but outside the gym as well. Like just the time thing is for the most part. I can get into the gym, do all my weights, all my volume, and then a bit of cardio as well, have a bit of a chit chat here and there, and be done in 90 minutes or less. And, still have the rest of my day to prepare food or, take the dog for a walk or something.
And so what are some of your bodybuilding big lifts? If we look at like the squat, deadlift and bench, if you're doing bodybuilding reps, say 9 to 10 reps, just put that number out there. What type of weight are you moving in comparison to some of those huge numbers you used to lift?
Honestly, from the accessories standpoint, like outside of the SBD, my numbers haven't changed a whole lot. So I'll still be doing like a 70 kilo dumbbell incline press or 180 kilo barbell rows, stuff like that. But when it comes to say like a leg press, I'll do single leg press instead of them at the same time, just because I don't want to add 1,000 plates to it. A little bit, yeah.
And are you're doing a lot of volume, a lot of accessory work, supersets, drop sets, that type of thing, or is it more just standard rep ranges that you're going for? A bit of a combination of everything?
At the moment, it's more so straight sets and then pushing that set to close to failure or failure. That's what I enjoy the most at the moment, and that way I can still load up a fair bit of weight because, my ego won't tell me to lift light, so I'm still gonna chuck a bit of weight on there and push it hard. And it's nice being able to have some big weight in my hands and go, all right, that's it, man, we can do.
Do you still incorporate like the big compounds, the squat, bench, and dead, or are you just too strong and the injury risk is too high in order for you to be able to incorporate them from a bodybuilding perspective?
Injury risk is absolutely there, so I have to be very careful of that. Which is why I'll probably won't do a barbell bench press for forever. So there's the risk of that, and my history with injuries in my pecs. It's just too high. Squats, same sort of deal. But something like a Romanian deadlift is a good little variation from a regular deadlift. Very similar pattern, and I can still push those quite hard. And that's great for my hamstrings. But yeah, for the most part, it's trying to lift as much weight as I can within the parameters of not fucking myself up.
Yeah, which could be a challenge when you've got your raw base of power. Like, are you training at a specific gym which has unbelievably heavy dumbbells and things like that? Like, a 70 kilo incline dumbbell press is enormous for the vast majority of people. But for someone like yourself, you might be banging out 12 reps and looking to find the 75s, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, my last gym that we were going to, about a year ago before it shut down out of nowhere, they had up to 80 kilo dumbbells. So that was kind of the goal, like the number there. And I was getting, I think 70, 75s for shoulder press at the time as well. But yeah, it's with limited stuff here, I try to I'll go to a machine like a hammer strength shoulder press machine or something like that. That's a bit safer, and I can still get the load through it. Feed the ego a little bit, but also stay safe.
Do you ever incorporate like a pre-exhaust or, short rest periods or anything like that in order to create the stimulus? This is a problem that absolutely no one else has, Dylan. I just lift as heavy as I can for straight sets, and there's still plenty of extra plates that I can drop the pin down. But for someone like yourself, do you have to modify your training in order to go heavy enough to stimulate the growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, on my leg days, I'll do extensions and curls to like proper failure on I'll max out the stack and there's proper failure. So the legs are absolutely cooked. So when I go to like a pendulum squat or a hack squat, I'll need 2 or 3 plates aside. So it's relatively not that much, but it's enough that you're like, all right, cool, I'm cooked now, but I don't have to put on 7, 8, 9 plates and risk anything.
And mate, I couldn't imagine there was a lot of cardio going on at 180 kilos, but you're deep in a contest prep right now. Is this just part of your life? Do you do much cardio?
Yeah, so during powerlifting days, cardio was getting out of the car and then walking over to the gym. And then sometimes people would load my plates for me. So that was the extent of it. But now it's tracking all my steps daily, up to 15,000 before the comp on the weekend. And good 10 to 15 minutes on the cross trainer or a stepper or whatnot, either side of that. I started training. But I enjoy that now, knowing that that's, not only improving my cardiovascular health, but also burning some extra calories so I can end up eating a little bit more.
And then, mate, you mentioned the weekend. So just to let everyone at home know, how did you go? Was it the Western Australia IFBB Pro League State Show?
Yeah, so that was the first show in I think 10 years. back to the bodybuilding scene, and they competed in the super heavyweights, which I think was over 85s. I'm not really sure how the weight cap went for that, but I took that out and then came into the overalls, which I came second out of 2. So, I mean, what does that say?
Congratulations, mate. It's a massive achievement. So what was the plan for the state show? Was it just to get it done? Did you do anything different for the state show, like in the peak week, or are you saving it all for the nationals coming up?
Well, I wish I could say I was doing nationals, but unfortunately, the cost of getting over there is a bit extreme at the moment with, trying to build a house and then move into said house, and then it being grand final weekend, trying to get over there from WA is going to cost an arm and 2 legs, and so unfortunately that's not going to happen. But the plan anyway was to do the state show. It was a 24-week prep. The idea was to get as much data as possible to see how my body responds to years away from bodybuilding, and to see what can be done in an X amount of time. Getting prepared for comps, season C next year or season A the following year, where I can dedicate all my training towards bodybuilding purely just to see what we can do.
Mate, was there a reason why you didn't jump in the novice class? You would have been eligible. I just think it would have been kind of cool seeing a 124 kilo guy in the novice division.
I honestly didn't know I could do it, so I just signed up for the super heavyweights and just, hope for the best.
And if it was over 85, do you know if any of the blokes weighed in at like 87 kilos and they just saw you backstage and they're just like, oh my God, how the hell is this bloke in my division?
I'm not sure. I think there was, I think everyone else was weighing around the 95 to 100 kilo mark. I'm not sure if anyone else was in the triple digits, to be honest.
I can imagine they weren't. So, mate, a little bit of insight into, the calorie reduction over the course of that 24 weeks prep, I think you said. What did the calories start at and where did they end up?
I started at, I think, 3650 or 3700 calories with minimal cardio, and all the rest of it was just that. And I think 8,000 steps per day. And then that gradually went all the way down to the final week. Well, the final week before peak week being 2150. So 2150 at my weight was a bit rough. Trying to do all the steps and the cardio as well. Playing some big mental games, that's for sure. But managed to survive.
Wow, mate, that is a very, very low calorie target for someone who is your body weight. Were you feeling the effects of low energy availability where, your body's physiological processes just don't have a lot of energy? And did you feel fatigue, tiredness, brain fog?
I felt all of that, times 10. Obviously, it had been such a long time since I'd never been this low body fat before, so that was something new. But be consistently low on those sorts of calories, the energy was like okay, and I wasn't like dead tired, but then all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere and just smacks you and going like, yeah, you're tired. And then I just had nothing in me to even think about anything other than let's go to bed, wake up and repeat until we can get to comp day.
The body's way to conserve energy, mate. You don't do much in a contest prep unless you're training in the gym and cooking your food. Otherwise, you're just stuck on the lounge. What did you learn about your body and your physique and how you responded throughout this prep? Because you just said it's the leanest you've ever been. So what did you learn about your ability to drop body fat and also to continue to train when the calories are very low?
That's a good question, actually. It was definitely a weird experience. I had no expectations going into it, and I didn't know what to think or feel about the whole process. But knowing that, like, when the calories get low, it could get real tough, and the head games can really, um, yeah, play on your mind a fair bit. But it's more so like just learning that you can push through it, and knowing that at the end of it, you're working hard for this goal, and like you're choosing to put yourself through this. And then just knowing that it's you've done it for your own purpose, and enjoying it.
And mate, I can imagine on the day of the show, it would be a very, very different thing to powerlifting. In powerlifting, I would imagine there's a level of performance anxiety and stuff like that when you're, setting up to get under a massive, massive weight in front of plenty of people, and a weight that could, literally hurt you very badly. Whereas in bodybuilding, you're in your tiny little pants, posing all oiled up, which could probably induce some performance anxiety of a different sort. But I'm intrigued as the mindset before each competition. How did you go about it? Are you the sort of bloke that for powerlifting you had to get psyched up, or were you the sort that needed to be calmed down? And how about bodybuilding? Did you find it nerve-wracking?
For bodybuilding, definitely very nervous. Because again, wasn't really sure what to expect, or like didn't think about too much how it was done. It was more so like, all right, get up there and do the thing that you've practiced. Um, and once it was done, it was over pretty quickly, and it was a lot of fun. So from the posing to the pose downs to the routine, it was all so different, but it felt the same, the aspect of like you're still putting on a performance and showcasing what you've done. In powerlifting personally, I didn't like to get psyched up before a squat and a bench because they were so technical that one sort of wrong move, being too hyped up can send you the wrong way, and there goes your lift. You can tweak something or hurt something real bad. Whereas the deadlift, you're just lifting the weight up. So if something goes wrong, you just let go, and it's all right. So getting all hyped up for the deadlift was the only thing where I needed that extra push. But the nerves were very real for both sports, because you've put in a lot of time and effort over the previous months for this one day, and anything can go wrong on either day, but especially powerlifting, you could be in your warm ups and then hamstring can feel it tight, and then it could tweak, and that could be just from walking into the venue. So it's very, very nerve wracking in the sense of, all right, let's not hurt ourselves before we get up on the platform, but making sure that everything's all warmed up correctly and that you're not gonna overthink things.
How about the psychology in the prep itself? Like, I would think for powerlifting, obviously you've got an enormous training load with those crazy long sessions, but outside of that, can you pretty much just relax and eat and chill and sit on the couch and have a good time? Whereas with bodybuilding, it's kind of, you have to be on at all times, monitoring the steps and ensuring you're getting your posing practice and nail the diet and the food prep and everything else. Did you find a different mindset was required for each sport in the lead up as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, bodybuilding is very much what you do 24 hours of the day, every day, all for the whole prep. Whereas powerlifting is like, all right, let's make sure that your training is good and make sure you're eating enough food. And yeah, that's it. Like I remember seeing some guys backstage having a couple of beers before they'd be getting on the platform to lift some massive weights, and it's like, whoa, all right, man, this is a different thing. And then another guy be having a couple of smokes between sets as well, and it's like, wow, so different.
And mate, 6'6", 124 kilos ripped, or 180 kilos in your powerlifting days. Which version of Dylan walking down the street scares more people?
Definitely the leaner version of me. The
Really?
amount of people, definitely the amount of people that have like stopped and said like, "Oh man, you look so much bigger now." It's like, "Oh yeah, I've lost it all around the midsection, so that's where it's all disappeared." But we all know that bodybuilders look bigger when they're leaner. So but the general day-to-day feeling of being leaner and being able to tie my shoes up without having a blood pressure PB is huge.
And mate, how do you find people's general reaction to someone your size? You're covered in tats, super muscular, 6'6". Is it normally a bit comical, or do you find that people give you a bit of attitude, or they stay away from you, or how does the public treat you?
I've never once had an issue with anyone ever because of this. Yeah, I've never had an issue with anyone. Everyone's super lovely, super friendly. Everyone wants to be my friend. Everyone's asking for some tips or like, or what do I eat? Nothing's ever malicious. Everything's always really lovely, and I can't put my finger on why.
Yeah. Couldn't imagine, Dylan. Yeah, I think I'd be pretty friendly to you as well. Mate, you prepped with your missus, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How did the relationship go through that ordeal?
We survived. Yeah, no, it was definitely a bit of a learning curve because she's had a powerlifting background herself. So to both jump into a bodybuilding prep after years of powerlifting was definitely not only a huge shift for me or a huge shift for her, but a huge shift for us both together. But trying to prep together and do everything together, and then your social life goes out the window. Friends are kind of hard to catch up with, so it was literally just me and her against everyone. And like it was, I'm not gonna say it was easy. Of course, we bickered and had some tiffs here and there, but it was really, really, really good, and I'd absolutely do it again. Because when you've both got the same mindset, it really helps towards that end goal. Especially if someone's having a tantrum, you can work through it together and go, yes, look, I know how you feel, and it was great, and yeah, looking forward to the next one, honestly.
So both of you have had a positive experience and want to go again?
Absolutely, yeah. At the start of the prep, she was a bit like, I'll just do it because you're doing it, and now she's fallen in love with bodybuilding and she wants to do it again and pursue it pretty hard as well. So it's really refreshing on me because that's what I want to do. But having someone, my partner who loves it as well and has the passion for it, it's really reassuring and just like it's nice.
And Dylan, obviously you've taken on two sports which are very, very time consuming. For a lot of people, time is the issue. Time management can be the issue. What do you do for work, and how do you manage to fit it all into your day?
So full time, I work as a forklift operator. Um, Sometimes I use a forklift, sometimes I don't, um, but that's my normal 40 hours per week. Outside of that, I coach in mostly powerlifting and strength. And obviously I've learned a whole lot about bodybuilding, how that works. So I help with that as well. But yeah, it's when you can budget your time effectively of just knowing of like, okay, cool, I've got an hour and a half here. I've got to train. I got an hour to do my meals for the day, so on and so on and so on. If you just break it down to those little moments, it's super easy to follow. Um, I've honestly never understood how people can say, "Oh, I just don't have the time." But if you've got half an hour, you've got plenty of time. Even if that's 3 days a week.
And mate, you've had some real success in the powerlifting and now also in the bodybuilding. So any advice for anyone at home who, loves training hard in the gym, maybe thinking about bodybuilding, maybe thinking about powerlifting, not quite sure, just want to lift heavy weights? Any advice for someone like that?
Um, yeah, just do it. Really, I mean, you're gonna start doing it, and you're gonna fall in love with it. But like, it really depends on what you want out of it. So if you're wanting to put in as much as you can to powerlifting, then obviously the time at the gym is going to be pretty important. But if you're looking at changing your physique and even just putting on some muscle, losing a bit of fat, that the diet is the biggest aspect, which I found personally is so massive over this last prep. Even 100 calories can make a difference to your day. So just knowing what you're putting in your body, not just like, oh, I have to do this every single day, but just being aware of what is going in to begin with is a great tool. But I mean, look, we've got that much information online. We've got AI as well, which is pretty helpful. Just ask it questions and just have some sort of structure to begin with, and then everything else will kind of fall into place.
And mate, you're in the post-show phase at the moment, the reverse diet, which a lot of people find the trickiest part of bodybuilding to navigate. How are you going with it currently?
Not fantastic, if I could be honest. I'm already up 8 kilos, which is probably a little bit too much, but I can still see my abs, so that's all right.
Do you have a strategy in place? Is coach on top of you? Is there any concern,
Yeah.
or what's
So
what's the move from here?
had a couple of days just to enjoy myself, which my stomach has not enjoyed. Taste buds was loving it, but back onto plan now. Diet wise, training wise, for the next few weeks before we start a growth phase.
Have you set up a timeline to a next show, or is that something you want to leave fairly open ended and see how the off season goes?
Bit of both. I mean, I would love to do season C next year as well. So a good 12 months from now. I think that's a good amount of time to grow like a decent amount and then have a probably shorter than 24-week prep. I'd like to do 20 or 18 maybe. But in saying that, if we're getting some good momentum with the growth phase throughout the next 12 months, and then season A 27 would be ideal.
And mate, since you've got the open platform, is there anyone you want to thank, any sponsors or any people out there that you want to give a special mention to?
I don't actually have any sponsors at the moment, so hopefully that can change. But a big
Maxes,
thanks
eh?
to
You
my
have to hit Maxes up for you, mate.
that'd be lovely. I've used those guys for years and I've loved them ever since. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, big thank you to my coach Nick Babbage. We've been mates for the last 10, 12 years, even before well before powerlifting. He'd always been there with helping me along the way, and he decided to pull the pin and take him on board as my coach for this prep, and it's been smooth sailing the whole time. Every little meltdown I had along the way, he was helpful. The knowledge is incredible. To help my partner Jess as well. So that was really good to have him there as well. But yeah, super great guy. Couldn't thank him enough.
And for people that want to reach out to you, mate, for some coaching or, some just general advice, what's the best place that they can catch you?
Instagram would be the best because that's what I check the most. Yeah, my handle is Dylan_Hellriegel.
Beautiful, mate. Well, we would love to have you on again in the future when you compete at 130 kilos or whatever it's going to be next time. But congratulations, man. It was an absolutely awesome showing. One of the best transitions I've seen from powerlifting to bodybuilding. You've got a unusually aesthetic physique for someone who's not only 6'6", but comes from a background of strength sport. So, mate, the future is bright. We appreciate you coming on. And for all those that are listening and enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. And we will be back with more in just a week.
Wonderful, thank you.
There's no cure for this one.